I think you're my longest relationship. Thank you. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for teaching me self-worth, for teaching me about myself, for creating a space for truth and authenticity. Thank you for unconditionally accepting every word and every thought that comes out of me with no judgment. Thank you for understanding my silence, for finding me every time that I've left, for having that inner knowing that no, it was not possible to outgrow you. No, I could never not need you. For having the inner knowing of the connection and for sticking by me and finding me over and over again. Thank you for teaching me what it means when someone has my back. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for choosing me over and over again, even when I haven't chosen myself.
Hi guys, welcome back to Bear and episode 12 of Open Therapy. Happy to have you. Thanks so much for the support on the last two videos. I've been seeing some numbers creep up and I'm like, awesome. To the new subscribers, happy to have you. Welcome, and I hope you join in on the conversation and catch up on all the past episodes because they're all solid, you know. In today's episode, which you may have just heard, I'm speaking about my relationship with poetry. So I call that my most honest love letter to poetry. I fell in love with poetry a long time ago. I don't think I always considered myself a poet, but writing as a means of coping, as a means of regulation, nervous system regulation has just always been a part of my life as much as, as far back as I can remember. And, I try little rhymes here and there sometimes, but even just in my journal entries, the way in which I process things through writing, it's not until I started being referred to as a poet that I really made the connection that what I was writing back then was really poetry, because how I write now and what I go and perform in front of a crowd is how I was writing then. That's kind of why I'm equating the two now. But my introduction or connection to poetry is really a friend in college. I don't think you'll ever find this video, but big up yourself, Gameli, if you ever do, or anybody who went to my college with me may recognize the name. He is this kid from Ethiopia who I was pretty cool with, and I wrote a piece and he was just hanging out by my dorm room one day and he read it and he actually said, "Oh, nice poem." And I was like, like I had never called it anything that I had written before a poem or poetry, and so that was the first time that kind of title was put to it. And I think I ended up entering, no, it was not competition. I performed the piece I wrote on like a show at the college. I'm trying to remember if it was like a Black Students Association show. I don't remember. Or a Caribbean Association.
Oh, while I'm editing, I remember now. It was like an Apollo show, and Apollo, like the crowd decides the winner, and I did win. Yeah, because I knew it was like a competition, but I couldn't quite remember the details. But yeah, big up.
Not quite sure, but I know I performed it and received like a lot of forward and a lot of applause for it, and I was like, oh, cool. And I also was asked on the basis of that performance to be a part of an orientation type video on inclusiveness. So I'm assuming that still exists today with with the college. This is where I did my first degree in Ohio. So my piece or my poetry was a part of that, and I felt really proud. It was a proud moment for me to be a part of something that would live on for years and years, and its purpose was to make people feel included and for people to resonate and find themselves in someone. So yeah, that's kind of the goal of my poetry. It's always to be as bare and honest as possible, because I feel like even though we're so different and we're living in different cultures all over the world, there are just kind of certain foundational things that resonate with all human beings, certain emotions and feelings. And that's what I try to bring through in the bareness and honesty and vulnerability in the type of poetry that I do. So it is laying a lot of my life and my experiences and what I've learned, but the purpose or the larger purpose is really to for inclusiveness, for resonance, for belonging, and connection. Yeah. So I decided in this episode, because this open therapy is really about looking at different types of relationship dynamics, I'm looking at my relationship, my longest relationship, which is with poetry. So I'm actually going to be sharing two pieces in this episode. One is called Trust, and the other is called Survival. And I'll have episodes like this throughout the series because it's a pretty big part of me. I don't write as much as I used to anymore. I definitely don't perform as much as I used to. So people may recognize me and they ask me about poetry, and I'm just like, well, you know, it's still, I feel it's still so close to me. But it still feels so far from me at the same time. So it's one of those things, you know. So I don't know. I mean, the question begs to be asked, you know, are we still lovers? Poetry and I think the type of connection and love and just unconditional support will always be something that I go back to. I'm not sure if I'll go back to performing, but you know, writing is just, it's a part of who I am. So for sure, even if we're long lost lovers, we're still lovers. We're still soulmates, twin flames, whatever you want to call it. My future with poetry, we'll see. It's there if I need it, and I reach for it if I need it. So I think over these last, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so, I've been trying to reach for other types of tools in self-expression. And I think that's also good to kind of learn different tools, different methodologies. I can't always like and then find a pen and paper or find a screen or and type, you know what I mean? So I've been trying to use different resources and different tools to kind of self-regulate and support myself. Yeah. And a big part of why I stopped writing too was I got tired of writing all the same shit. I mean, there's just so many times that you can write about failing at love before it gets to you, you know what I mean? Before it really has you sit down like, you know what I mean? Okay, so it's me. I keep failing. Not that it wasn't me and I was pointing fingers before, but it got humbling and it got really sad, and it had never been that way before. It had always been just a release and supportive, but at some point it started feeling repetitive and sad, and I can't believe we're writing about this again, and these anxieties, and when will they transform, you know what I mean? So I had to then take a stop and look for different tools, different types of support to kind of move through whatever this lesson was that I felt like at the time when I had got into that rut that I was missing, you know. Okay, so the first piece, Trust. This was written about a significant romantic relationship in my life that ended, and this was written while I was going through deep turmoil of trying to trust myself again. This had nothing to do with trusting him. This really had to do with trusting myself and my choices and my emotions after the relationship fell apart. And the reason why I reached for this today is because I've been having a rough week. I mean, we all know I started this journey going through a breakup. Healing is not linear. It's up and down, up and down. And this week, it's been a down week. I've been, I guess, a little bit more sad with that journey. Still very clear on why it ended and why I'm moving forward. But yeah, just sad. You know. Yeah, just sad. So I'm trying to do my best. Yeah, and move through that emotion. I can't suppress it and pretend it's not there. I'm just trying to do my best to move through it in as authentically as I can. So I can't come on here and pretend like I'm so healed and ooh, screw him, and I'm like looking to date again and find my Mr. Right. I'm absolutely in no shape or form looking to date right now. I'm really still in the gutters, sorting through my emotions and my own connection to what happened, and right, moving through that. So trust is very relevant right now as I move through those emotions authentically and try to really trust my choices and myself again for the future. Yeah, for future decisions romantically, you know?
The day I met him wasn't the first day of class, but it was the first day I was introduced to his subject matter. Eager to learn, every day I was present. Not as concerned with the attention-grabbing textbook wrapper as I was with the eclectic content this subject's textbook had to offer. I wrote pages to the question of him. Turns out those pages were written with some under-the-influence pen. I was so sure I got it. Then it came back from the teacher all marked up with X's, suggestions to omit certain words like commit. Can't trust myself, my judgment anymore. I see snapshots when I blink of who I once was that have been so long since. This is the kind of shit that makes me not trust anymore. Instead of rewriting my answer, spending time on patching or fake padding characters, making up for paragraphs that had through them red ink, forcing me to rethink concepts like happiness and compromise and how not to get only one of those to monopolize, I roll the paper up and put a band around it and tuck it neatly into my knapsack compartment with the tag lessons on it. Trust that this distrust of myself is sincere. That is why I keep it safe for when or where I decide to love again boundlessly and bare, not allowing the tear stains to smudge the blessing, risking the integrity of this graded paper and lesson. Life. My teacher insisted I speak with her. She had a feeling I would make this grade make me bitter. I looked over my shoulder and then softly confided in her that I felt like a failure or a quitter. How do I accept that even if I reread the textbook, I wouldn't have done any better? I desperately awaited some words of comfort, but by the time I glanced up, life had continued onward. She turned on the projector, already showing upcoming terrain and gear manuals for future lovers, case studies demonstrating how to teach my baby girl what desires to never put above hers. Deeply buried experiences of my past that taught to put aside my interests for what other people want. I thought to make it through love there had to be a price, and for me that price had been self-sacrifice. Life said it was time for my next assignment. She felt like I needed a new pen for this one and some solitary confinement. She said, get your notepad and ask it for what you need. Ask your soul what it needs to feed on. To breathe. There would be no grade for this one. Only one condition. I was not allowed to doodle anywhere in the notepad self-caricatures of who I thought he wanted or make up unrealistic characters.
I found an empty space with ceiling-to-floor mirrors and sat in the most distant corner. I leaned back, bent one foot and stretched the other out and reached for my notepad and pen, took a deep breath, and began. I need you to laugh with me. I need you to believe in me more than I believe in myself. I need you to see the endless possibilities of synchrony and growth for us both. I need you to listen. I need you to appreciate the magnitude of our solitude. I need you to just love me, to not fear vulnerability, to be honest and open with yourself, and to be willing to be seen honestly and openly. I need you to know my kisses intimately enough that if you were blindfolded and somehow kissed by me and 100 others, you could pick my lips out the bunch. I don't know why that would ever happen, but I still need that. I need you to know what I bring and objectively evaluate whether you have what it takes to truly be my king. What kind of father will you be? Do we value enough of the same, and for anything else, can you trust me to take blame? I need you to be selfless along with me, respect and cherish me. Can we share power equally? Do you love truth like I love truth? Give me long dates for us to really communicate. Do you know who you are and who you aren't? Give me confidence that you have true courage, that you are brave enough to be yourself every day, even if it's not a trend or cool to be that way. Maybe you could even understand my contradictory need to be free and for you to still protect me. Give me safety. Give me confidence that I can love you safely, that I can trust you safely, that I can trust myself again. And survival, well, this is actually a part of the longer piece, survival, which speaks to, so the part that's missing from this part that I recorded speaks to being suspended in air, floating through air with a parachute, hand in hand with this person who I had decided that we were no longer going to be floating together, but somehow we still were. And this is the latter half of the piece, which I thought could stand alone on its own. And I think the concept of surviving such a hard emotional hit still comes through. So, yeah.
Conviction. That is what has been missing from this depiction. Thirsty for safety from this salty, waiting to be chosen anxiety addiction. Having learned that not home feeling ever so well made me very aware that I had been merely going from motel to hotel for sustenance. Now hungry, thirsty, and homesick. Still trying to figure out the arithmetic that brings me home. Where I detach from my public character and my inner being is at peace, enjoying everything that inspires me, feeling real belonging, and finally finding my place where I'm safe. Finally, the clouds dissipate, and I realize I'm now seeing the ground right in front of my face, so I brace. Because it's been 3 years suspended in space, feet buckling as I have not yet rebuilt trust in them. Scared, but I keep my poker face. No longer living within the boundaries that mark the expectation playing field of being your woman. Finally, the universe has summoned me, floating alone within welcomed boundaries of my own parachute. Warm hues of gold and red light surrounding me as the sun sets ever so beautifully. There it is, the dreaded impact with a new reality. I survived. I'm not dead, she said.
All right, guys, so that was the episode. Maybe this, I don't even know, when I start editing, I'll see if this is a much shorter episode than usual, but I assume it will be. I hope that you enjoyed this kind of peek into that side of me. The bareness and honesty and vulnerability that comes through in my writing is very much in line with my open therapy episodes, and so we'll be having episodes like that again, and I hope that you liked it, hope that you loved it, hope that you love me because I love you, and I will see you next week. on the next episode of Open Therapy. Bye, guys.